Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to be here today. Today, we will be exploring the topic of understanding the importance of Parliament. This is a crucial subject that helps us appreciate how Parliament shapes our lives. We'll look at what Parliament does, why it matters, and how it impacts democracy. So, let's dive in and discover why Parliament is so vital for our society. Today, we'll be exploring how we select our national government. It all starts with the people and their representatives, who play a crucial role in shaping the leadership of the country. These representatives are chosen through elections, and they act on behalf of the people's interests. Next, we'll look at the role of the Parliament. Parliament is the heart of our legislative process. It makes laws, debates policies, and holds the government accountable. It's essential because it ensures that the voice of the people is heard and that decisions are made transparently and fairly. So why do we need a parliament? Well, it's about creating a system where everyone's interests are represented, where laws are made for the good of the nation, and where the government is kept in check. A strong parliament helps maintain balance, fairness, and effective governance, which are all vital for a healthy democracy. All of these points tie back to our overall theme of understanding how our government functions and why active participation and representation are so important for our country's future. So, why do we need a parliament? Well, a parliament plays a crucial role in making sure that the government serves the people effectively. It's where laws are debated and passed, ensuring they reflect the needs and wishes of the citizens. Parliament also acts as a check on those in power, holding them accountable and making sure decisions are transparent and fair. This helps prevent abuse of power and promotes good governance. Ultimately, having a parliament is about creating a voice for the people within the political system, helping to keep the country balanced and functioning smoothly. It's a fundamental part of a healthy democracy, connecting the government to the people it represents. We in India pride ourselves on being a democracy. Here, we will try and understand the relationship between the ideas of participation in decision-making and the need for all democratic governments to have the consent of their citizens. It is these elements that together make us a democracy, and this is best expressed through our parliament. In this chapter, we will explore how the parliament enables citizens of India to participate in decision-making and to control the government. This, in turn, makes the parliament the most important symbol of Indian democracy and a key feature of our constitution. Now, you might wonder, why do we need a parliament? Well, the parliament serves as a platform where representatives are chosen by the people to voice their concerns and make decisions on their behalf. It ensures that the government remains accountable to the citizens. Essentially, the parliament is the bridge that connects the people's will with the functioning of the government, making sure that democracy truly functions for everyone. Let's talk about why I believe there should be universal adult franchise. One key reason is that every adult citizen, regardless of their background, should have an equal say in choosing their government. It's about fairness and ensuring everyone's voice matters in shaping the country's future. Next, think about the process of selecting a class monitor. Do you think it makes a difference if the teacher chooses the monitor or if the students elect one? Well, if students choose their monitor, it encourages participation and gives them a sense of responsibility. On the other hand, a teacher's choice might be based on different criteria. Both methods have their pros and cons, but ultimately, election promotes a democratic spirit and helps everyone feel included. Now, moving to the photo on the slide, what do you think the artist is trying to say with the image of Parliament? It seems to symbolize transparency and the importance of understanding how our government works. The person reading instructions on the EVM shows that voting is a responsible act, one that requires awareness and clarity. Finally, let's connect this to the broader theme. During the struggle for independence, people from all walks of life fought for the right to participate in decision-making. The Constitution made this a reality through universal adult franchise, meaning every adult has the right to vote. This was a huge step towards building a democratic India, where the government is accountable to its citizens and everyone's voice counts. Let's talk about people and their representatives. This slide highlights the crucial role that individuals play within the broader system. It's important to understand that people are at the core of any community or organization. Their voices, needs, and interests are what drive the decisions made by those in leadership positions. Representatives act as the bridge between the people and the governing bodies or institutions. They are elected or appointed to listen to the concerns of their constituents and advocate on their behalf. This relationship is vital because it ensures that the governance process remains responsive and accountable. Without effective representation, the needs of the community might be overlooked or ignored. Connecting this to our overall theme, it emphasizes how essential a strong, transparent link between people and their representatives is for creating a fair and effective system. After all, good governance depends on genuine engagement and trust between the public and their leaders. So, how does an individual give approval to the government? One clear way is through elections. When people vote, they're actually choosing their representatives to the parliament. From among these elected representatives, one group forms the government. The parliament, which includes all the representatives together, then controls and guides the government. In this way, people, through their chosen representatives, both form the government and keep it in check. The foundation of democracy is the idea of consent. That means the desire, approval, and active participation of the people are essential. It's the decisions made by the people that create a democratic government and determine how it functions. In this kind of democracy, the most important person is the citizen, the individual. And because of that, governments and public institutions need to have the trust of their citizens. Without that trust, democracy can't really work effectively. So it's all about the connection between the people, their representatives, and the trust that binds them. The Lok Sabha, also known as the House of the People, has a total membership of 545 members and is presided over by the Speaker. The Rajya Sabha, or the Council of States, has a total strength of 245 members and is chaired by the Vice President of India. Together, these two houses form the Parliament of India, or Sansad, which is the supreme lawmaking institution of our country. Now, you've read that people participate in other ways beyond just voting in elections to show approval or disapproval of government actions. Can you think of 3 different ways people can participate? Maybe imagine a small skit to illustrate these different forms of participation. Most elected representatives, whether they are in panchayats, Vidhan Sabhas, or the parliament, are elected for a fixed period of 5 years. Why do you think we have this system of fixed terms rather than lifetime appointments? It helps ensure accountability, allows voters to reevaluate their choices, and keeps the government responsive to current needs. In a democracy, people don't just participate directly all the time. Instead, they choose their representatives through elections. These representatives, MLAs and MPs, meet and make decisions on behalf of the entire population. Nowadays, a government cannot call itself democratic unless it allows what is called universal adult franchise, which means all adult citizens have the right to vote. This ensures that everyone has an equal say in choosing their leaders. For example, decisions like introducing a new 1,000 rupee note, starting a new train connection between Ajmer and Mysore, or the Madhya Pradesh government's decision to discontinue board exams for Class VIAI. All these are part of government actions at different levels. Some of these are handled by the central government, like introducing new currency or international relations, while others, like local transport or education policies, are managed by state governments. It's important to understand the difference between a state government and the central government. The state government manages local issues within the state, such as schools, roads, and local laws, while the central government handles national matters like defense, foreign policy, and currency. Now, let's discuss the difference between a state legislative assembly, or Vidhan Sabha, and the parliament, or Lok Sabha. The Vidhan Sabha is a legislative body at the state level, representing a specific constituency within the state. An MLA, or member of the Legislative Assembly, is someone who is elected to represent their constituency. They get elected through direct voting by the people in that area. Their main role is to listen to the needs of their constituents and make laws that benefit their local area. So, in summary, the MLA represents their constituency and is elected directly by the people living there to voice their concerns and make decisions on their behalf. This system ensures that local needs are considered while also connecting to the larger framework of our national democracy. Now, let's talk about the role of the parliament. This is a crucial part of our political system because it represents the voice of the people. The parliament is responsible for making laws, debating important issues, and checking the work of the government to ensure transparency and accountability. It acts as a bridge between the citizens and those in power. By doing so, it helps to uphold democracy and maintain a balance of power. Throughout our presentation, you'll see how Parliament's functions are fundamental to a healthy, functioning democracy. It's not just about passing laws, but about ensuring that the government serves the interests of the people effectively. With the help of the table below, let us understand this further. Created after 1947, the Indian Parliament is a symbol of the faith that the people of India have in democracy. Democracy, as you know, is about participation, people taking part in decision-making, and government by consent, meaning the people's approval is essential. Since the Parliament represents the people, it holds immense powers within our system. Elections to the Parliament are conducted in a manner similar to those for the state legislatures. The Lok Sabha, which is the lower house of Parliament, is usually elected once every 5 years. India is divided into many constituencies, as shown in the map on page 41. Each constituency elects one representative to the Parliament. Candidates contesting these elections often come from different political parties, reflecting the diverse political landscape of the country. This system ensures that the voices of various regions and communities are heard at the national level. So, the role of the Parliament is crucial. It's where the people's will is represented and where important decisions are made for the nation. In this slide, we see the results from the third Lok Sabha elections held in 1962, as shown in the photograph on page 28. Let's look at some key questions based on this image. First, which state has the highest number of members of Parliament, or MPs, in the Lok Sabha? Think about the size and population of that state, and why it might have more MPs. Then, which state has the least number of MPs? Moving on, which political party has won the most seats across all states? This helps us understand which party has the most support nationwide. Based on this, which party do you think will form the government? Consider the number of seats they hold and their overall strength. And finally, why do you think that particular party will form the government? Is it because they have the majority of seats? Also, who will be present for discussions in the Lok Sabha? These are the members representing their states and parties. And you might notice that this process is similar to what you've read about in Class VII, where representatives come together to discuss and make decisions. Now, looking at the table provided, which lists the results from the 16th Lok Sabha elections in 2014, we see the number of MPs each party has. The Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, has the highest with 282 MPs. Other parties like the Indian National Congress have 44 MPs, and parties such as the All India Trinamool Congress and the All India Anna Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam also have significant numbers. When we compare these figures, it becomes clear that the BJP is the leading party. Given their large number of MPs, they are most likely to form the government. This is because they have the majority of seats, which gives them the power to make decisions and implement policies. So, in conclusion, the party with the most MPs, here, the BJP, will generally form the government, and the members from different regions and parties will take part in discussions in the Lok Sabha. This process of election and representation helps ensure that diverse voices are heard in our government. Once elected, these candidates officially become members of Parliament, or MPs. Together, all these MPs form the Parliament. After the elections are held, the Parliament has several important functions to perform. Now, let's look at the results of the 15th Lok Sabha elections that took place in 2009. The table shows us the number of MPs each political party or regional party secured. For example, the Indian National Congress, or INC, won 206 seats, which was a significant number but still not enough to have an outright majority in the Lok Sabha. Because of that, they had to form a coalition government. In this case, they formed the United Progressive Alliance, or UPA, with other allied parties to reach the majority needed to govern effectively. Looking at the numbers, you can see that the Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, had 116 MPs, while regional parties like the All India Trinamool Congress had 19 MPs, and the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, or DMK, had 18. There are also smaller parties, independents, and unrecognized parties that contribute to the overall composition of parliament. In total, there were 543 MPs in the 15th Lok Sabha, representing a diverse mix of political and regional parties. This diversity reflects the broad spectrum of political views and regional interests across the country. Understanding these results helps us grasp how coalition politics work in India. Even when a party wins many seats, as the INC did, they often need to collaborate with others to form the government. This highlights the importance of alliances and negotiations in our parliamentary system. It also shows how different regions and communities are represented in our parliament, making it a truly federal institution. Now, let's move on to the next step in our process, selecting the national government. This is a crucial decision because the government you choose will have a significant impact on how your policies and initiatives are implemented across the country. When selecting the government, it's important to consider their priorities, stability, and how well they align with your overall goals. Think about their track record, their ability to work with different stakeholders, and their capacity to enact meaningful change. Remember, this choice sets the foundation for your entire project, so it's vital to make a well-informed decision that supports your broader objectives. The Rajya Sabha primarily functions as the representative body of the states of India within the parliament. It also plays a crucial role in initiating legislation, meaning that any bill must pass through the Rajya Sabha before becoming law. This gives the Rajya Sabha an important review function, where it can suggest amendments or changes to laws proposed by the Lok Sabha. Members of the Rajya Sabha are elected by the elected members of the legislative assemblies of various states, ensuring state representation. There are a total of 233 elected members, along with 12 members nominated by the President, adding to the diversity of the House. Moving on to the buildings of the Central Secretariat, the South Block and North Block, both were constructed in the 1930s. On the left, you see the South Block, which houses key offices like the Prime Minister's Office, the Ministry of Defense, and the Ministry of External Affairs. On the right, the North Block contains the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Home Affairs. Other ministries are spread out across different buildings in New Delhi. In recent times, it's often become challenging for a single political party to secure an outright majority to form the government. When that happens, parties come together to form what we call a coalition government, aligning their interests to govern effectively. The Prime Minister is the leader of the ruling party in the Lok Sabha. From among her MPs, she selects ministers who help implement government decisions. These ministers head various departments like health, education, and finance, managing different aspects of governance. One of the key functions of the Lok Sabha is to choose the executive, the group of people responsible for executing laws made by Parliament. When we talk about the government, we're referring to this executive group. The Parliament of India is made up of three parts: the President, the Rajya Sabha, and the Lok Sabha. After elections, a list is prepared showing how many MPs from each party have been elected. To form the government, a party needs a majority, at least 272 members out of the total 545, which includes 543 elected members plus 2 nominated by the President. The opposition consists of all parties that oppose the majority, with the largest opposition party playing a significant role in Parliament. Now, let's talk about what happens when Parliament is in session. It all begins with the question hour. This is a really important part of parliamentary proceedings because it allows members of Parliament to ask questions about how the government is functioning. Essentially, It's a key mechanism for MPs to gather information and hold the government accountable. Through these questions, the government gets a clear message about its strengths and, more importantly, its shortcomings. It's also a way for MPs to understand what the people they represent think and feel about government policies. Asking questions is a crucial task for every MP because it helps keep the government in check. Let's not forget the role of opposition parties here. They play a vital part in a healthy democracy. They scrutinize government policies and programs, pointing out any flaws or drawbacks. Plus, they mobilize support for alternative policies, helping to ensure a balanced and vibrant debate in Parliament. So, in essence, Question Hour is not just about seeking information. It's a powerful way to control, guide, and inform the government, making sure it remains responsive and responsible to the people it serves. Lawmaking is a very important function of Parliament. It's through this process that laws are created, amended, or repealed to address the needs of the society. We will explore this topic in more detail in the next chapter, so for now, just remember that lawmaking is at the heart of what Parliament does to ensure the smooth functioning of the country. Now, let's look at how political participation has evolved over time, especially among Dalits and backward classes. As you can see in this table, the percentage of people voting in Lok Sabha elections has fluctuated over the years. For example, in the early years, around 1951-52, the voter turnout was about 61.16%. Moving forward to 1967, it slightly increased to 61.33%, but then in 1971, it dropped to around 55.29%. However, in 1977, the turnout went back up to approximately 60.49%, and by 1984-85, it reached over 64%. If we look at the more recent elections, in 1991-92, it was about 55.88%, but in 2004, it increased again to nearly 58%. The 2009 elections saw a similar turnout, around 58.19%. Most notably, in 2014, voter participation reached a significant high of 66.4%. This increase in voter turnout reflects a broader trend. Parliament is becoming more representative of diverse backgrounds. We see more rural members and representatives from regional parties, many of whom were previously unrepresented. So overall, it shows that more groups and communities are actively participating and gaining representation in our democracy. This shift is a positive sign for a more inclusive and representative Parliament. It is issues of this kind that force the country to ask certain difficult and often unresolved questions about whether our democratic system is truly representative enough. The fact that we can even ask these questions and are actively working towards answers reflects the strength of our democracy and the faith that people in India have in this system. Similarly, there has been a recent suggestion that seats in Parliament should be reserved specifically for women. This is still a matter of debate, but it highlights an important concern. If we look back 60 years, only about 4% of members of Parliament were women. Today, that figure has risen to just over 9%. While this is an improvement, it's still a very small share, especially considering that women make up about half of our population. So, why do you think there are so few women in Parliament? Think about the reasons behind this gap. Now, the photo here shows some women members of Parliament, giving us a visual reminder that women are indeed part of our legislative process. Looking at this table, what do you think about people's participation over the past 50 years? Has it decreased, increased, or remained stable after an initial rise? It's important to understand that a representative democracy can't produce a perfect mirror of society. There will always be some gaps, especially when interests and experiences differ. This is why it's crucial to ensure that communities which have historically been marginalized, like Dalits and Adivasis, get adequate representation. That's why some seats in Parliament are reserved specifically for SCs and SDs. The idea is that MPs elected from these constituencies will better understand and represent the interests of these communities. So, in summary, the question of who is in Parliament touches on broader issues of equality, representation, and social justice. Our democratic system continues to evolve to be more inclusive, but these challenges remind us why ongoing efforts are so necessary. Now, let's look at some situations where finding an easy solution to a problem isn't straightforward. These are often complex and require careful handling. The first concept is unresolved, which refers to issues that remain open or unsettled, meaning there is no clear or immediate answer. Next, we have coalition, which is a temporary alliance of groups or parties. In this context, after elections, political parties often form coalitions when no single party has enough seats to form a clear majority. This coalition helps them work together to govern, but it's usually temporary and based on mutual agreement. Finally, approval is about giving consent or being favorable towards something. In the context of this chapter, it's about the formal approval that Parliament grants through elected representatives. But it also means that the government must continue to earn the trust of the people to stay in power. These concepts highlight the complexities in politics and governance, emphasizing that solutions aren't always simple or immediate. Instead, they often involve negotiations, alliances, and ongoing trust. Now, as we discussed in Chapter 1, the parliamentary form of government in India operates at 3 levels. First, we have the Parliament, which is the central government, and then there are the various state legislatures, which form the state governments. Let's connect this to your local area. I want you to think about the representatives from your region. For example, take a look at the table here. It asks you to fill in details like the name of the current MP from your constituency, how many MPs your state has, and why some constituencies are colored green while others are blue. Using this 2004 map of parliamentary constituencies, try to identify which constituencies belong to your state. This visual helps you understand the geographical distribution of representatives. The green and blue colors might indicate different data points, perhaps the party in power or the election results, so think about what they might signify. Now, why do you think our national movement supported the idea that every adult should have the right to vote? It's a fundamental step toward equality and democracy, ensuring that everyone has a voice in choosing their leaders. This principle is what makes India's democracy strong and inclusive. Moving on to the exercises, the table prompts you to compare the political parties currently in power at both the state and central levels. It also asks for the name of your local representative, the opposition parties, the last election dates, and the upcoming election schedule. Additionally, it highlights the importance of women's representation, so note how many women from your state have been elected to these legislative bodies. Recognizing these details helps us understand the democratic process more deeply and see how different regions and communities are represented in governance. Remember, these details show how our democracy functions at multiple levels, connecting local issues to national policies. Understanding this structure helps us appreciate the importance of participation and representation in shaping our country's future.